Hello everybody, Doctor here, and welcome back to iRacing, week number 2. This week we are at the Sebring Club Circuit, which is the shorter version of the Sebring Circuit. This week will be a little bit different than, hopefully, the rest of the series, in that I will be doing some post-commentary here over video. If you've noticed, there's been a complete lack of videos on the channel this week and most of last week. That is not due to the holidays or anything like that. It is actually due to the fact that I have been recovering and overall been down with the worst cold I have probably had in a very long time, including completely losing my voice, so that made things rather difficult. I did manage to hop into a race or two this week, and we're watching qualifying right now. Sebring Club isn't a track that I particularly love. I had never done it before. I had done a lot of races at the regular Sebring. You would think, you know, it's just a shorter version, it would be virtually the same. It's not. It really takes a lot of the charm out of the track. There's a lot of the good, fun passing opportunity turns kind of removed, even though it's really just the backstretch and the carousel that are taken out. It neuters the track. It really does. I also really struggled to find a good speed balance. It is extremely difficult to race here and stay on track. It's actually really hard just to do laps here and not put a tire off every now and again. But I finally did get down into some pretty good times. Luckily, through the fact I couldn't do any recording, I had quite a bit of time on my hands to do some practice. So there we go, 17.2 was my best time in qualifying. But later on I actually dropped those times even further. But the really quick guys are down in the 16 mids. So now we're looking at actually the first race I did. That is right, this is the first instance of me having to redo a race. So there's $15 child's play right off the bat because of that. I know that looked really weird, but that was actually due to me not waiting long enough to get better, and I had like this massive coughing fit, and got distracted and went off track. Alrighty, well, it has been almost a week now since I actually did this race that we are watching now, so I'm gonna just do some live commentary here of watching the race and kind of take it from there, and I'll kind of just kind of commentate on how I did. I don't remember most of what happened. It was a good group. I did this race the same day, actually, but later on, I was feeling a little better. Decent start. I'm actually doing pretty good with the starts. I'm happy with that. This is a nice turn one. For as harsh as I was on the track, it actually has a nice open turn one for this kind of racing, so no real issues there. A few good passes based off of the jockeying. That happens. I'm gonna get hooked up here. I believe I just kind of get hooked up with the 9 car, and we run together for quite a while. This and the following turn are probably the two most pivotal parts of the track. This turn right here, a lot of people take it much differently than I seem to. This is the line that I kind of got comfortable with. There's an off track for no reason whatsoever. I have no idea what I was doing there. Yeah, you don't really brake hard into that turn, but you can't just completely let off the gas. If you let off the gas completely, it seems like the car doesn't do anything of what you want it to do. So the turn there, and that turn right there is very tricky. Now that's a turn that's obviously a staple of the main course, so I was used to that and used to that kind of weird, you have to take a real early apex in order to make that almost kind of second apex. When you turn left there, it's strange. And we're already up through a lap, so it's a short track. You lose that back section, and it takes a whole lot out of the time. Feeling really good about the first part of this race. My line was really good. That is something I've noticed about my own driving, is that I do I do fairly well when I'm just tailing somebody. I am a lot of the times kind of tempted and improperly just following somebody else's line. But lately anymore, I think I've gotten better at just kind of judging my car's position off of somebody else's. Which is good when you're trying to pass somebody, but it's not so good in the fact that once I lose the field or I'm out by myself, even though I know this track, you know, completely, I for whatever reason will just completely lose my sense of braking points and turning points. I think that's probably, I would like to say it's due just to a lack of practice, but like I mentioned, I practiced a lot for this week. There you can see, I'm already down to a 17-1. Some of that is going to be due to the draft. These cars are extremely draft happy. But really, the setup was feeling good, and everything just felt like perfect with the car for this first portion of the race. Interestingly, just to toot my own horn, if you guys know or have seen any of the footage that I have come back with, I work on a spec Miata team with a guy named Damon. He actually does a little iRacing himself. He doesn't do it very often. He kind of uses it as a training tool. But we got in a few practice sessions together, and I was pretty impressed with myself to be about half a second faster than him once we got on the same page with the setup. He doesn't probably put as much time into it as I do, but it's always encouraging to kind of compare yourself versus somebody else in your kind of same amount of experience as far as iRacing goes, because a lot of these guys, you don't know how much they've been doing this, or if they've been running in the Miatas for, you know, since the game came out, whatever it was, 5 years ago. They could know every one of these tracks just like the back of their hand. So how are we doing here? We're still staying within a second. I like to hop the curbs through there. Not a lot of people do. I don't see people being as aggressive with the curbs as I am, but it doesn't seem like you lose a whole lot of time with it. This turn can be bad. If you clip this inside curb too aggressively, it'll throw you into that outside curb. This is actually a pretty good little run here. The whole time I'm somewhat worried about the 8 car behind me, because I've noticed he's able to turn off a little bit quicker of a lap than I can. But I'm really just focused on the 9. Trying to pressure him into a mistake for stealing my number. I have found that in this level of racing, or this level of car, even in sim racing, a lot of what you do is pressuring people into mistakes. The actual, oh that's right, I forgot about this, the leaders actually had a little bit of a spin here. Two of them got together, and this is the #1 qualifier, the absolute fastest guy here, and he comes back to our group. And the 9 car tries him a few times, but what that did was kind of brought us right together, and I make a dive bomb on him here. Unfortunately, he kind of predicted, I think, that I was going to do that, and held it off beautifully. That is exactly how you hold off an attack without getting everybody crashed. But yeah, that's what I was kind of referring to. That's how you make your moves in this kind of racing. Is you have to get people out of their comfort zone, because these cars have so gray of a kind of grip level. It's not like when you're driving a super fast prototype that is, you know, thousandths of an inch everywhere around the track. You have to hit your marks everywhere, or you're going to make a real slow lap time. With cars like this, you kind of have a little wiggle room in things, so you have to really convince people to screw up in order to make your pass. Because I was maybe a couple tenths of a second faster on a lap than the 9 car. That's not going to get you by him. That's not gonna put me in position to just shove this car up beside him. I could do that and be a jerkhole, but That's not how I roll. Like right here, I could just late brake and dive bomb in there, and that's just gonna wreck us both. I would much rather get in his head and make him think that I'm going to do that and cause him to kind of wreck himself. Usually that's the right way to go, unless an opportunity presents itself, like that one a couple laps ago there, or last lap when I dove under them. That could have been the opportunity. Right here you can see the draft really coming into play, but not quite enough. If this was the full track, if this was full Sebring, going down the back stretch and the front stretch, you would really see the draft come into play, and you could probably kind of plan those passes without mistakes with that kind of a run. In a real short track, this is only 1.7 miles long and turns everywhere. You're not going to get opportunities like that. And there you go, a 17.0 I believe is the fastest lap I've ever turned here. So the draft definitely came into play there. But what's nice now is I got a pretty good gap to everybody behind us, and we're sitting in 5th place, which is right where I'd like to be. I am up ahead of the iRating of my iRating versus everybody else's. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's how you get points. I was really hoping for this race to be a single split, but that didn't happen. And what I mean by that is, when you register for a race, if there's, say, 20 people that register, everybody's going to be in the same group. If you get 30 to 40 people, there's going to be a split. It's going to put the top people, the top divisions in one and the bottom divisions in another. I kind of prefer it when it's one split, because then I get some of the lower division guys to kind of even out the field versus me. Versus now I'm in just 1, 2, and 3 divisions, which is the top 3, obviously. So it makes getting victories and stuff like that much more difficult. But it's certainly a much bigger challenge, and you get way higher points payouts for doing well in these races. Like, I will probably get more points for finishing 3rd in this race than I would for getting a victory in the bottom split race. So gotta take that into account too. So I think the 9 car here is really pushing hard to try and catch the 1. It's not gonna happen. He's way faster than us. But I'm kind of scrapping at this point just to stay with him. A little bit of a missed apex there isn't going to help. At 1.2 seconds back, the draft is pretty much negated. This turn, I'm probably most convinced I'm taking the wrong line through. If you watch him, and you watch especially the 1 car ahead of us there, they're taking a much wider entry into there. I was never able to get comfortable with that, so I'm taking that kind of shallow entry, which I don't think is the right way to go.
1 minute, 17.47.
But still at a 17.4, not a bad time. So things are still going pretty well. I don't remember if I get back up to the 9 or not. Spoiler alert. But I know I was driving. If this was a regular week and I was trying to do commentary, yeah, you can see there, I'm pushing way too hard right now. This is the point of the race where I would get really quiet and the intensity would pick up, because I feel them leaving me, and for bad reasons, that makes me drive much harder, which isn't going to make you go faster usually. It's just going to make you make more mistakes. So we're already up to 2 incidents, which is much better than the first race I did there, where I think I racked up 7 incidents in the first 2 laps or something like that. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad. It was certainly worthwhile to do a redo on that one, because that car was destroyed.
1 minute, 18.078.
118, that's not great. Just can't let that stuff get into your head. So hopefully at this point I start realizing that, and I just go back to basically doing qualifying laps. Just treating every lap like you're going out there and trying to do the best lap you can, but not pushing yourself beyond the limit. Not trying to go out there and set a new world record. Through the, about, I would say, this week I probably put 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours of practice and qualifying in. I didn't change setups once, but I went from running consistent 118s, low 118s, to running consistent low 117s, with no setup change or anything like that, and not really through changing my line anywhere. It wasn't one of those instances where I was like, oh, duh, that's where the time is. It was just a matter of just chipping away at it and dialing in those marks. And that's all these other guys are doing. They've found that extra 2 feet of braking to give them a 10th per turn, and that's all it takes to be half a second faster than this mid-pack guy back here. This is so weird. I don't know why it's so much weirder to do post commentary than it is live commentary. You would think it would be the opposite. Trying to keep your brain focused while racing is no easy feat. But I'm kind of the person that when I'm playing games, or especially while I'm sim racing, or even like in real life when I'm autocrossing, I always have this like weird monologue going on in my brain of like talking myself through it. So I think that's what helps the live commentary aspect of it. Whenever I can get the words to actually exit my mouth correctly. Oh, look at that, a purple sector. Now we're getting somewhere, and threw it all the way into there. Braking way too late. Alright, for the sake of saving my voice a little bit, we're going to skip ahead a few laps here. I've basically just been following him at the same distance, and there we go, running off the track for incident number 3, which sets me up for kind of just missing the line on the next few turns. Luckily, I do like this. If you have an active incident, if you go off track again before the incident goes away, it doesn't count. So at least they give you that much. The safety rating system is extremely harsh in iRacing, in my opinion, but that is your one reprieve. One thing I'm going to change next week that just occurred to me watching this back. Oh man, just missing lines all over the place. What are you doing, Dodger? You're terrible. Yeah, this is the part of the race where my energy had kind of like run dry. You know, you lose your emphasis, you lose your enthusiasm for it once you're not following anybody and you're kind of out there by yourself. What was I saying? Oh yeah, field of view. I want to try and adjust my field of view next week and go with a little bit wider. It's a very narrow field of view I'm using right now, but I use a monitor that's extremely close to my face. Basically, it's right at the end of the steering wheel. So I'm going to try and adjust that back just a little bit to give me a wider view. Way to go in the dirt once again. And try and give you guys a little bit of a wider view too, because I'm looking back at it now, it looks like an extremely narrow field of view. You don't get to see a whole lot of the action. You don't even get to see the rear view mirror. So we'll try and adjust that a little bit next week, which will be right around the corner. I've actually got to record that in a couple days here. I haven't done any practice or anything this week. Just been trying to relax and get better. No, bad cone. Why do I keep doing this? I don't even know. I guess I was going 5th to 6th there, and I went to 3rd. I had the wherewithal this time to push the clutch in, try it again, and I put into 3rd again. If we had audio of like the steering wheel and everything, you would hear me just slamming that shifter back and forth trying to get it to go. But that did a number. You can now see that the 3 car has closed in quite substantially, which is discouraging to say the least. I guess I really am. I am not Cone Dodger anymore. I am Gear Dodger. It's probably something else I need to adjust, is my shifter position. You know, there's an excuse for every mistake, and that's the one I'm going to go for this time, is that my shifter is probably too close to the steering wheel. It's too far forward, so if I could pull that back a little bit closer to where an actual shifter would be, it might help. Perhaps I need it to be at a little bit more of an angle, because I seem to be constantly hitting the gates in between the gears instead of hitting the gears. So maybe if I angle it a little bit, my hand will be in the right position. I don't know. There's got to be a way to fix the error that doesn't involve me learning how to shift properly. At least one can hope. So now, still between the discouraging incident there and overall just kind of losing my groove, losing my feel, number 3 car is going to eat away at this gap. These are timed events, so I don't know exactly how many laps the race is going to be, but I know it's going to be within 5 laps. Tell by the fuel, and luckily enough, people are kind enough to post the required fuel per race on the forum. Thank you to the slapped car for staying outside of the track while we pass. Much appreciated. So I would estimate probably about 4 laps to go once we get the call for 5 laps of fuel left. You can only adjust it per gallon, so a gallon goes pretty far in a car like this, at a track like this, so there might be a lap or 2 of overrun. I feel like I'm probably talking a lot more than I actually talk in the real episodes. Whoops. Missed the braking point, went way too deep. I had the wherewithal to put it to second gear to help slow it down. This car does not have an exorbitant amount of braking, so if you miss your marks, you're not going to lock them up and get it to stop. So using the transmission, using the engine to slow it down is pretty much your only hope. And it did work for us there. It kept us on track. But now it's gotten really close. And this is definitely one of the situations I struggle with, and you guys have noticed pretty substantially that I don't do well when there's somebody behind me. I get way too distracted in following a line that's defensive rather than just following the line that I should be driving, racing the racetrack. That will give the person behind you exactly the advantage they want. That is exactly what I was talking about earlier, about getting into somebody's head and causing them to do things they shouldn't do, is exactly what I'm doing. I'm letting people do that to me. There was zero reason to be 1.3, 1.4 seconds down in Delta this lap. There was no major incidents. I'm just not paying enough attention. So he's going to drive off to the left here. I see that, and I really hope to avoid the over-under, but I don't do it. I drive in too deep. He pulls out to the outside and gets by. But I'm not going to let him get away. If I can stay within this range, you can see he kind of missed his turn in there, so he's not perfect either. Nobody's perfect. It's always easier to get up and pass somebody than it is to keep the lead, I think. And amazingly, he went way off into the grass there and held it, and even through here, having grass on his tires, he still held it. Hold on, I've got to cough my brains out. Okay, hopefully I edited that out for you. So 4/10 down, pulling a nice draft. Potentially pop to the inside here. Oh, but he shuts the door. I don't remember exactly how this final transaction goes here. I don't know who cashed in on this one. There's the white flag. So I got about 2 more opportunities. This is one. Try and do the same thing and get him to run wide, but it doesn't happen. both run really good lines here. This is my favorite and probably best section of the track, so this is my best chance to get up close to him. See, using that curb, and you can see it's definitely pretty effective to get close to him. But I'm not making any huge gains. Let it run out in third there on the limiter. Certainly the best way to go. Kept within drafting range, but not a whole lot of straightaway here. A long straight, and this would have been set up for a pass for sure. But with only that, I don't think I even take a look. Nope. Well, a little bit of a look, but not much. Doesn't help that he's got a little bit of a lag issue there, kind of scooting side to side a little bit.
Needed one more lap, I think.
But here, it's over. Nothing you can do. Alrighty, well, that is the checkered flag. This was a good race, though. I was very pleased, despite the mistakes that I made.
Great job, driver.
Everybody was. We did some chatting after the race. Everyone was really impressed with everybody else and how competitive it was and how clean everybody ran. So it was nice to see. Alrighty, as we look at the results here, you can see that I finished in 6th place after starting in 6th place. So a nice 0 loss there. So, granted, it could have been a 1-place gain if not for that missed shift and overall poor run at the end. However, our lap times were slightly better than that of the 2 guys ahead of us, our best lap time. The average lap time was obviously slower, but I felt like I had pretty good pace for a 2200 strength of field, considering I am just a 1700 iRating racer. And you can see there the top 3, which were the guys that we couldn't really even touch. Those guys had 3,000, 3,700, and 4,400 iRating. That's really, really good. So they've definitely got some speed, and they're running times in the 16s, low 16s. So of this group, I feel like I should have been in 5th, if not for the mistakes, possibly even 4th. Me and the 9 car had a nice run there, so that could have been even better. But I pull 75 points and 4 incidents, which gained us some iRating and gained us some safety rating, so making back some of the gains lost from that first race. As far as the total for Child's Play, $15 for screwing up the first race and redoing, and $4 for incidents, so a total of $19 this week. Next week we move on to Silverstone, another short track. This is the Silverstone International Circuit, which I now know pretty well from Assetto Corsa, so we'll see how that kind of carries over to iRacing, and we'll hope for a continued improving trend as we have seen. And I'll see you then. It'll be in a couple days, probably.